Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Neha and I am currently a student of Ryerson University in Canada. In the last video, I posted the project management process and project attributes. So if you haven't checked that out already, please go ahead and check it out before watching this video. Now let's get started with the project constraints. There are a number of challenges or factors that can jeopardize the project completion. First is the budget. As we already know, budget is the fund that has been approved by the sponsor. We must make sure that we don't overspend the budget approved for that particular project, which is why we need a budget management plan and we need to keep a check. We need to keep a tab on the expenditure. All right. Next, we will come to the schedule. Schedule is a timeline that represents the starting and completion of different activities. And therefore, when we take the summary of the schedule, it represents the timeline of the project. Like when will the project be initiated, what is the execution phase, what are the activities that are contained in the execution phase, when is the project supposed to close, and everything. The schedule of the project must meet the completion date set in the project charter. Alright, so next is the resources. So we all know what resources are. They are mainly consumables for a particular project. They are utilized as the project execution starts, basically. So resources can be anything. Say for instance, if I am constructing a house, the resources could be the human resources, the workers, the cement, the rods, and so on and so forth. Next is the customer satisfaction, and this is one of the most important constraint or one of the most important factors in a project. It is the responsibility of the project manager to ensure that the customer is satisfied. Now, does that mean that we don't communicate with the customer if everything is on track and just submit a report later on after completion? Or you think that we should only communicate with the customer if we are facing some challenges or something is not going as per the plan? I would say no in both the cases. We should communicate regularly with the customer and provide them updates. In addition to that, what is the most important is that we need to build relationship and trust with our customers. How can we communicate with the customer without irritating our customers? We need to set regular meetings over Skype, Teams. We should send wishes during their birthdays, New Year's. Basically, we need to try to build a relationship with them, which will help us as our project progresses. The next constraint is the scope. The scope of the project is the task or jobs that need to be done for a project. We must pay attention to our scope so that we are not doing something that is out of our scope, as it will just increase the budget and schedule of the project. And we also want to do everything that is in the scope. We don't want to miss something out. Otherwise, it will be the customer who will hold us responsible for something that's not been done. So we should always follow the scope. The next constraint is the risk. As discussed in my previous session, the project execution doesn't go exactly as per the plan, and this causes risks and uncertainty. Therefore, when we are creating a baseline plan for a project, we should mention which risk, we assume which risks are likely to occur. We can just we can think, when we are doing a project, we can think and it will come in our minds what are the risks that can happen and how frequently that can happen. Say for instance, if I'm testing a new technology, it might happen that it doesn't work. It might happen that the platform where we are trying to release the technology that doesn't support us, that doesn't give us permission. So these are the risks that can be, that can be extrapolated earlier before the project has started to execute. And we also need a risk management plan in the when we are planning for the project. We also need to create a risk management plan so that we can refer to that plan whenever we are facing that particular risk. Next is quality. It should be the quality should be defined during the start of the project, and the project team should create a quality management plan to ensure that all the deliverables meet the standards set by the customer and the team. I think this is pretty much clear. The next step is the stakeholders. Stakeholders are people or organizations that can influence or can be affected by the project. We will discuss more about the stakeholders in our next slide. Now, it's the responsibility of the PM to balance all these constraints. This is the most important thing. We need to balance everything, all the constraints, and we need to lead the team towards project completion. Who are the stakeholders? Stakeholders are entities who can either influence or get affected by the project. Say for instance, I am building a subway in a locality, a subway station in a locality. So the stakeholders, along with the project team who is executing the project, the stakeholders will also be the people who are living in that locality, because they will have an ease of access. They can move around by using the subway. As per the slide, the stakeholders are the customer, the sponsors, suppliers, team members, etc. The stakeholders should be kept informed of the project status at all times, so that surprises can be avoided during the project. Yeah, that sometimes makes me think that surprises are not always a good thing. How can we deal with the stakeholders? First, we need to identify the stakeholders. Now, how can we identify? The first process of identifying the stakeholders is brainstorming. The PM can gather his team together for a meeting, and he can ask each member if he can identify any stakeholder, if anything that comes in his mind. Brainstorming involves noting down the points or ideas without any discussion or criticism. At the end of the meeting, the project manager and the team will have a list of all the stakeholders. The PM can also create advisory groups. Now, what are advisory groups? The advisory group is nothing but a group of people that PM can, he can delegate a responsibility to a few people who will advise. It can mainly comprise of the senior staff who has worked on different projects. So they can advise the team on who the stakeholders can be. Also, the PM or the project manager can network with several organizations, government, non-government, non-profit, to understand who can be the potential stakeholder for similar projects. The earlier we identify the stakeholders, the better it is for us, as we can get in touch with the stakeholder and then update them with the status of our project. After identification of the stakeholders, the next step is creating a stakeholder register. When we create a stakeholder register, what we need to mention there is the information. Now, what kind of information can we mention? We can mention the contact and the role of the stakeholder. What are the topics of interest for the stakeholder, for that particular member or that particular stakeholder? What are the expectations and what are the known issues of that stakeholder? Now, it's a live document, and sometimes when the project runs long, stakeholders kind of change. their issues kind of change, their contact and their roles change. So this stakeholder register needs to be a live document and it should be updated as the project progresses. The final thing while dealing with the stakeholders is creating an issue log. Now, what is an issue log? It's also like a register. I mean, it doesn't need to be a manual register. It could also be electronic, where you could jot down the specific issues, concerns, questions that are identified by the stakeholders. And also, like when these issues, concerns, or questions are resolved, you can write down the status and keep this log up to date. So, for managing the stakeholders, the key is communication. We need to be regular in our communication with the stakeholders, and that would help us sail through the project smoothly. As we need to balance all the constraints, I'm adding 2 more plans that need to be created during the planning process. These are risk management plan and the quality management plan. With this, we come to the end of the constraints section. In the next video, I will deal with the life cycle of the project. If you are finding the videos helpful, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know in the comment section down below. See you until next time. Bye.